I think my best friend's girlfriend wants my boyfriend. Person 3. I, 21 female, have a best friend, Jessica, 21 female, who is dating Mane, 20 female. My boyfriend is Paul, 22 male. We all share the same group of friends and do a lot of outings together. Jessica and I have known each other since we were in elementary school. I met Paul in high school but didn't talk to him until we were at a mutual friend's graduation, age 17, party, and Jessica met Mane, pronounced Monet, about 6 months ago at a small gathering with some friends. They hit things off almost immediately and all was good. Note: I was at this gathering by myself, Paul wasn't with me. Jessica is lesbian, masculine, and Mane is bisexual. I was extremely happy for Jessica when she met her because she struggled with relationships in the past. All of her 3 exes cheated. Because of this she hasn't dated anyone in almost 3 years. She and Mane really seemed great for each other and Mane appeared to be a wonderful girl. Well, a couple months into them dating Paul and I decided to have a double date with them. We all live relatively close together so we settled for a nearby restaurant halfway in between. Paul and I were running a little late so when we got to the restaurant Jessica and Mane were already there. Prior to this Mane and Paul hadn't met. This was their first time meeting. Paul and Jessica were already well acquainted with each other, as they've both been a part of my life for years. As soon as Paul and I walked up to the both of them I could somehow tell the vibe was off. Mane just stared at him with a weird look. Almost like she had been love-stricken. Throughout dinner she only paid attention to him and only talked to him. If Paul and I were having our own discussion she had to interrupt and direct his attention to her. She also kept asking him kind of inappropriate questions, like, "How many girls have you been with before you met Op?" When Paul stated that it seemed like a weird question she retracted with, "I meant how many girls did you date before you met Op?" The answer was 2. She also kept touching his arm and would slap his chest if he made a joke. I don't think Jessica noticed, because she seemed chipper like she always is. When Paul and I got home I asked him if Mane seemed weird and too touchy. He said that he really didn't notice but noticed that she asked weird questions. The next time I saw Jessica and Mane we were having a girls' night at my apartment. As soon as they walked inside Mane looked around as if she was looking for someone. When I asked her if she was looking for something she said, "Oh, I was just wondering if Paul was here." I told her no, that he was out with some friends and probably would be out late. She looked disappointed, so I asked her why she was asking. Jessica replied, "She hasn't stopped talking about him since we all had dinner. 2 weeks before, I thought it was weird but let it go. The whole night Mane wouldn't stop talking about my boyfriend. Op, what's Paul's favorite food? Op, what's Paul's favorite movie? What's his favorite sport? What are his hobbies?" I answered but always tried to change the subject. I think even Jessica noticed because she kept sending me looks of annoyance. The final nail in the coffin was when she asked me about his dick size and when she was met with bewildered looks and questions from Jessica she replied, "Oh come on. Girls talk about this stuff all the time at get-togethers. Mind you, we've never talked about that before stuff at our get-togethers." I told her I wasn't going to answer and excused myself to the bathroom. I took a few minutes to compose myself and do my business and when I walked back out into the living room I was met with the sight of Mane sitting ridiculously close to my boyfriend who appeared to be drunk and one of his friends standing beside him. Turns out Paul's friends had accidentally gotten him drunk from playing a simple drinking game. And Mane kept rubbing his arm and combing her hands through his high in a weird intimate, comforting manner. I thanked the friend for dropping Paul off and went to help him stand up. Before I could reach him Mane wrapped her arms around his middle and helped him to his feet. I told her thank you and that I could take care of it from there, however she ignored me and started leading him towards our bedroom saying, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." I told her no, that I could do it just fine by myself. She tried to argue but Jessica piped in and told her to let me handle it. I was fuming. After getting Paul set and in bed I came back out and told them both that I was tired. Mane wanted to have a sleepover. I told her no because I had work in the morning and Paul would probably be in too much of a crabby mood to want to deal with people at ass o'clock in the morning. They both left and that was that. A little while after that I asked Jessica if she and I could have a one-on-one. We met at a small cafe and I asked her if she noticed Mane's behavior towards Paul. She said yes, but understood that it was because Mane really wanted to be his friend, he just seems like a cool dude. She told Jessica. I pointed out some of her weird and inappropriate behavior she displayed, but Jessica told me that I was crazy, Even got mad at me for even suggesting that her girlfriend would purposely go after my boyfriend. It didn't go too well after that and we both left angry. I didn't see them both for a little while after that, but one day when I got back home from work, Paul told me that Mane stopped by. He works from home. I asked what for and he said that he didn't really know, she just stopped by, hung out for a little bit and then left. He then proceeded to tell me that she told him that supposedly I said it was okay. I told him that I didn't say she could stop by, nor did she text me to ask. I asked him what went on when she was here and he said that they just chatted, but she asked him a bunch of weird questions like, is he a cuddler? Do I make him feel like he's appreciated and wanted? Am I a good girlfriend? Shit like that. I pointed out how inappropriate it was for her to ask him such questions and told him that it was clear that she liked him. He said I was probably overlooking things and that he didn't get that kind of vibe from her. I got angry, so I stayed in my room for the rest of the night. Fast forward to 3 days ago, I found out that Mane got Paul's number, thanks to Jessica. She has been bombarding his phone with texts, meme videos and a bunch of random shit. He doesn't answer most of the time besides your occasional, haha, or that's funny. She also asked him if he wanted to hang out, and when he said, sure, I'll let Op know and we can all plan for a day and time. She replied with, oh, I was thinking it could just be the two of us? I think you're a really cool guy and wanted to get to know you better one-on-one. Paul kindly declined and showed me the text because he was afraid I'd see it and think he was going behind my back. He said that although he thought she was just being friendly, he understood that I wasn't comfortable with how she went about forming a relationship with him and didn't want to do anything that could insinuate he was interested in her. How do I tell his bitch to back off? Am I looking into this too much? Please update once you put Mane in her place. Just reading this pissed me off immensely. God, I think I'd distance myself from her and your friend. She sounds awful. How does no one else think this is weird? But while your boyfriend thinks she just being friendly, I'd ask him to not let her inside and try his best to avoid her and not entertain her behavior. Oh, she totally wants your boyfriend. Her questions are inappropriate. But honestly, she's coming on so strong that I would bet she'll step way over the line soon, so you can show Jessica and she can boot this creepy chick to the curb. You're being a doormat. I would have put that bitch in her place already. It's bitch mode time. Screenshot the conversation where she basically asked to cheat. Send it to Jessica with an "I told you so" for being a dumbass and letting that hoe into your life. You and Paul block Mane everywhere. Make it clear with Paul that she's not welcome at your home and that if he talks to her in any way, shape or form, you'll consider it as good as cheating and it's immediately over between you. At this point, he knows what's up, so no fucking excuses. He seems like a good dude, if perhaps a little too oblivious, where I would suspect he was enjoying the attention a little. Still, I would give him the benefit of the doubt at this point. You gotta shut this shit down now. Don't tell her anything. Your boyfriend has to stop her advances, which it sounds like he is. You can't stop these thirsty hoes, unfortunately. Screenshot all of her texts and send them to Jessica. Let Jessica know. Mane is for sure trying to hook up with him, lol. He must be a really clueless dude. Did you tell him about the dick size thing? Update me. My boyfriend had a seizure while driving and I am traumatized. He can't remember. F24, was in the passenger seat when my boyfriend, M28, left his parents after joining them for dinner. He has been diagnosed with epilepsy for over a decade, and it has been well managed through medication. Tonight on our drive home, I was having a conversation with him and he was speaking gibberish to me, which made me suggest we pull over before we continue driving. He proceeded to have an absent seizure, dazing out and hyperventilating, and I kept talking him through the driving, despite him not knowing what I was saying. Thankfully, we didn't collide with any cars, hardly any on the road, but we nearly collided with trees and streetlights. I used the emergency brake and he began convulsing and stomping on the gas, so it was a fight to keep the car stopped. After these feelings of a near-death experience, I feel so much grief and heavy feelings, but he can't share that with me because he can hardly remember. I feel that although he's listening to me, I'm not being understood the way that would comfort me. I don't know how to feel or move forward from here. Too long did not read. My boyfriend's seizure nearly got us into a fatal accident, but he doesn't remember anything. I'm still shaken and distraught and feel alone with these feelings. What should I do? I feel that although he's listening to me, I'm not being understood the way that would comfort me. He had a medical situation equals he's not the person who should be comforting you. Process this with someone else close to you, not him. It's not his job to comfort you about his condition. Epilepsy crisis during the day is a no-no for driving license in most countries. My sister started to have those this year. Her driving license is revoked till she has 1 full year without any day crisis. It was a major issue for her at the time. But, those crisis was only the tip of the iceberg. Have him do a full health check. Seek moral support that is not your boyfriend. You did great by reacting the way you did and saved everyone. I have dealt with similar things in the past with a specific family member. Honestly, he is not the person you should be looking for comfort from. Although he can't remember it, he also has to process the fact that his condition that he has had control over for the past 10 years, led to both of you in a very dangerous position. It's not his fault whatsoever, but it is still a lot to process and try to understand. You should probably both look for individual therapy. Trying to get comfort from your boyfriend in this situation will never be enough, nor is it really fair on him. You don't want to end up resenting him for something that is not his fault. First of all, he is a victim in his own right. He is not the one who should be comforting you. You should both go to therapy. But don't think he is the one who should be the one comforting you. He had the seizure, he doesn't even remember it. Imagine how bad he must be feeling. If he had killed you in the accident, he wouldn't even remember what happened and would just awake to his dead GF. He must be feeling terrible at his own loss of control. Yes, you had to deal with it in the moment and he doesn't remember it, so yeah, he wasn't even mentally present enough to empathize. You know that after a seizure, the brain goes into the post-ictal phase? The phase is characterized by confusion, drowsiness, headaches, etc. It can last as long as a few hours. I'm not being understood the way that would comfort me. I don't know how to feel or move forward from here. Sounds like you have a lot of feelings and need a bit of hand-holding. Fine. But your boyfriend experienced a medical issue that takes higher priority. I feel that although he's listening to me, I'm not being understood the way that would comfort me. I think you're in the thick of your emotions and not seeing things clearly. Maybe you're feeling a bit angry at him and helpless about the situation because you don't have anywhere to put those feelings. You have to remember that even though your boyfriend can't remember what happened, it's still distressing and scary for him. He might not be expressing that only because this is something he's learned to live with. You need to find someone else to talk to that can help you work out these feelings and not pile on your boyfriend who's also going through a hard time. Unfortunately, while he can sympathize, he legitimately cannot empathize what you're feeling. While it is understandable that you want this from him, it is simply unrealistic to attain. I would suggest try to focus less on his emotional reaction, and more on how you can mitigate this in future so you can restore a sense of safety. If that means he no longer drives with you as a passenger, so be it. Taking back the sense of control is very helpful in overcoming the trauma of something like this. I propose he should see a doctor. Maybe it's become worse? Maybe some medication? And you should go to a psychologist or someone who can help you with your feelings. Good luck. Always the girlfriend, never the bride. I've been in 3 long-term relationships. One lasting 13 years as high school sweethearts and he left me. He was married a year later. Then a 2-year-long relationship. Amicably broke it off and he was married a year later. I'm now in a 3-year relationship and am terrified that the same will happen. Am I always just the practice girlfriend that prepares you for the real deal? I never pressure or give ultimatums. Is this something I should be doing? I'm not unattractive, stable career. I'm so confused at this pattern. Any help or insight would be helpful. How long did you spend in between relationships getting to know yourself and being happy in your singleness? Often a dangerous side effect of high school sweethearts is that you miss out on a crucial time developing your individual identity because it's mixed up with someone else's. I noticed in your post you didn't actually mention wanting to marry these specific partners. Perhaps you should take some time to analyze your motivations for getting married. Do you want the ideals of marriage, e.g., security, societal approval, or do you want to marry partners? If you're searching for a husband rather than a true life partner, it's possible you may be dating people who are not the most compatible, or staying in relationships long after they have run their course. Do you talk about marriage with your partner at the time? Do you have the difficult conversations about the future, your long-term expectations? These conversations should be happening quite soon, like, a year or so in if you're serious at the latest. If you want to get married, you have to discuss it and not just wait. That's how you end up with a decade-long relationship that doesn't go anywhere. I am still pretty new to relationship stuff. But I do know that even when relationships end, it doesn't mean the relationship was a waste of time. Everything ends eventually. Sometimes love is just being in the present. Making memories. Growing together. If you'll ever find someone who marries you, I don't know. But I am convinced that time spent together makes for a better life with less regrets. Enjoy the love you have, and if you let go, you'll attract the energy and love you put out. I wouldn't give an ultimatum, as I'd always feel guilty about forcing something like that. Have you talked about marriage or thought about asking yourself? For me, a marriage is the same as a serious relationship. Me and my boyfriend talks about how we wants to get married. No church, just a big love party. But it's no rush, it's probably gonna happen after we have our children, if at all. But I must be honest that in Denmark where I'm from, getting married is not a big deal and most people don't. I have 4 friends with kids. One is married, 2 are engaged, but like the kind of engagement where they properly never marry. So I sometimes find it difficult to understand why it's so important for Americans, but culture I guess. Girl. I feel you on that. All my exes are engaged or already married and I'm over here single wondering what the fuck am I doing wrong. Makes me question my self-worth and how I am as a person, partner. I recently found out my most recent ex is now engaged to a girl that I questioned him about during our relationship and they've been dating for less than a year now. I'm trying to stay afloat but it's hard sometimes not to overthink. In your Glitch in the Matrix post you say you have a husband. Upset about boyfriend not texting me. We 25M, 25F, have been dating for 6 years. We don't live together but we have a child together. My issues is how little he texts and how long he takes to reply. I'm so excited to hear from him and get really happy when I hear from him but he takes so long to text back because he's either working or playing video games, he doesn't make time for me and he rarely comes over to see his child and me. How do I approach this situation? I sometimes get so sad because I know he's just playing games with other people and takes hours to get back to me. I understand that self-care is important but I hardly hear from him. I think that when you care about someone you would find the time to talk to them. I don't know, at 25. If you have a kid and you're an actual couple, I think he needs to grow up a bit. How much quality time do you spend as a family? If you're not getting more time than he plays video games, not cool. So, after reading your comments, this boyfriend does not reach out to you, does not pay to help raise his kid, does not do anything to act like he is in a relationship, and you want to know how to fix it? You can't. He has to want to do these things and it looks like he doesn't want to. Think of your child. Do you want to teach them that this is the way to be a good parent and partner? Working is understandable but if he's not texting you back for hours because of video games that's messed up. Maybe suggest phone or video calls and ask what's been going on. Try not to fight about it but let them know you would like to talk as much as possible. Break up with him and request official child support. He does not care about you or even his actual child. He never grew up and he treats you like shit. You are already a single parent so you might as well avoid the sadness when he disappoints you again and again. Why don't you live together? Why doesn't he live with his child and girlfriend? He's a bum. Get rid of him. I have many friends like this. Lost in themselves and addiction to many things. Also, quick word of advice. You have had a child so your happiness comes second. You're not his girlfriend. You're his baby mama that he has sex with and occasionally gives money to. Dump him. Stop texting him about anything other than the kid. And draw up a formal legal agreement about custody and support. This guy is shortchanging you and your kid. And you are teaching your kid that this kind of relationship is acceptable. How are you a couple? You don't spend a great deal of time together as a family. You rarely chat. For context, I see my ex twice a month for 2 days while he spends time with our kids. We do stuff together because we're friendly. We have zero physical connection or relationship. How is this different to you and him?